This video was actually really hard for me to do because there's very little in my business that I would change or that I regret doing. But I was able to come up with 5 things that I would do differently if I were to start my business all over again from scratch, after knowing what I know from making over $1 million in sales and 14 years later of running my own handmade jewelry business. Hey there, my name is May and I help makers, artists, and designers create a consistent income from selling their handmade products online. The first thing I want to share with you is if I started my business today with knowing what I know now, I would not spend so much money on getting other people to do work for me. Here's what I mean by that. I'm the type of person, and maybe you can relate to this because I've met a lot of creatives who are like this, but I need to have confidence in what I'm doing before I go and do it. So if it's doing social media, I want to feel like I know what I'm doing and that I know how to do it right before I actually start doing it. That means educating myself on how to do it, like reading books, investing in courses, talking to other business owners who are doing social media really well, and then just having a strategy or plan that spells out what I'm going to do. All those things give me confidence. I like to feel prepared, and when I do anything, I like to do it well and have it be successful. Of course, we all want to avoid failure, right? The problem is, I just wasn't confident. I suffered from low self-esteem and low confidence for most of my life, and it was always hard for me to believe that I could do anything right. So what happened was, I would pay so-called experts or service providers to do the job for me. I hired people to do social media for me. I hired people to pitch my products to magazines. I hired Facebook ads agencies. I hired SEO agencies. Last year, I even paid $15,000 to have a mentor help me grow my business. I have spent tens of thousands of dollars hiring people, and these services are not cheap. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't ever hire help. I'm very happy with my team right now. I have a person doing customer service for me. I have 3 ladies who do production work. They actually make my jewelry, and one of them also does shipping for me. What I am suggesting is that for most of the marketing stuff to the business, I recommend that you learn how to do it yourself first and do it well. Then, when you want to hire that out, hire someone in-house and train them yourself so they're going to do it like you as closely as possible, so you get to have really good quality control. The problem is when you hire other people to do marketing work for you, they're never going to do it as well as you. This has been my experience over and over again. It's very difficult to find just the right people for your business, and I spent so much money looking for those people. For example, in 2019, I spent $20,000 on Facebook ads managers to help me do ads. I lost money doing that because even though the ads were profitable, they weren't profitable enough to cover the service fee I had to pay to those Facebook ads people. And then when I started taking the time and having the patience to do the ads myself, I actually got even better results than these people I was paying thousands of dollars to. A lot of the times when you work with service providers, especially agencies, they have a lot of overhead expenses, which means the prices you're paying them include crazy high profit margins. One Facebook ad agency I worked with last year wanted to charge me, get this, $6,000 per month. And after I negotiated with them, they were able to drop their fee to $3,000. I mean, that just goes to give you an idea, right, for how big their profit margins are if they're able to drop their fee by half, and I would assume still make a profit from me as a client. So anyway, this is not a flat out never hire anyone, but that just be careful with what I was hiring out for and to whom, and generally, the best thing you can do is learn how to do it yourself first. Number 2 is, I would spend extra time upfront to create a more sustainable product. Now, I don't mean eco-conscious sustainability, but more so product experience sustainability. To be more specific, my jewelry is scented food jewelry, right? The scent in my jewelry doesn't last forever. That's just impossible. It does run out after a few months, and unfortunately, some of my customers place a lot of importance on the scent. I wish they would care more about the designs, but that's just how it is. So, for example, when I sell my jewelry wholesale, my products would be out on the shelves for weeks before people buy them, and at that point, the scent wouldn't be as strong anymore. So that would be a problem, and while I figured ways to make the scent last longer, it's still kind of a problematic product. Not to mention, scent is a very subjective thing. I have some scents, like my snow cone scent. Some people love it, and some people hate it. And some people can't even smell certain scents. People's smelling sensitivities are also different. So the biggest issue I have with my tiny hands jewelry is the scent. There were so many times when I thought very seriously to just remove the scent altogether and stop selling them scented. But that's what I've become known for, and maybe that ship has sailed. So if I were starting a new business, and actually I did in fact start a new business just a few months ago, and already it is doing so much better and seeing results really fast because I can apply what I know now to that business. But I would say, spend the extra time to make sure your products don't give your customers any trouble and that they give them a long-lasting positive experience in all areas of your product. I do wish that people would just appreciate my products for just the design, because I think that's what's the best thing about them. But unfortunately, not. If you're enjoying this video and if you're finding it helpful, please hit the like button, maybe even subscribe if you want more videos like this. When you like or subscribe or leave a comment, it tells YouTube that this was a good video and it helps show it to more people on YouTube, and that's why I make these videos, is to help people. Number 3 is I would not make a product that no one has ever heard of before. So when I started Tiny Hands Scented Food Jewelry, when I did craft shows, people were surprised and shocked to learn about my products. And it's gotten better, but back when I started out, no one was searching for scented food jewelry on Google. And if people aren't searching for your product, there's no immediate demand for it. Can you imagine how hard it is to make sales in that position? You might think that that's a good thing. I have very little competition. But honestly, inventions are really hard to sell because you have to not only promote them, but you have an added layer of needing to educate people on what your product even is to begin with. This is probably the biggest struggle I have with my jewelry business. It's really hard for me to do any form of keyword-based marketing for this business, and that's marketing like blogging, SEO, Pinterest, or video marketing. All of these kinds of marketing is inherently content, and they're all put on platforms that are search engines, right? Pinterest is not a social media platform, it's a search engine platform. Blogging and YouTube, you do it so people can find you through Google or through YouTube using keywords that they're searching for. Even with SEO, I really struggle with this. It's not enough to know what keywords my customers are using to find my product, because they don't even know they wanted it to begin with. So I had to focus more on doing marketing that's more like discovery marketing, getting influencers and bloggers and magazines to talk about me, doing Facebook, Instagram, and paid ads to generally just increase brand awareness first. Number 4, I would be a lot more careful about not letting myself get burned out. I had several bouts of burnout in the last 10 years, but the biggest one that was the most detrimental was when I was forcing myself to be creative with making new designs every month for my subscription product, the Necklace of the Month Club. I have a whole other video talking about that process, so definitely go watch that if you're interested to hear more. So I made a lot of money doing it, but forcing creativity to happen is not fun at all. And after about a year or so of doing that non-stop, eventually I just gave out. And it's such a dangerous place to get to because you risk losing passion and love for your craft, which was what happened to me. I have not made any new designs for that business for years. And a part of it is because the thought of making a new design just gives me anxiety. The great thing, though, about this experience is that now I know you don't have to make new designs to make more sales. I have a great product line that keeps my customers full, no pun intended, for months and years. They buy one design, they come back to buy another design and another after that, and there are just more designs in my shop than a person ever needs. But truly, going back to the topic, I would take time for other things in my life that wasn't revolving around the business. Take time to actually pursue other passions and hobbies. In my 14 years of running my business, I did nothing else, and that's really sad. I went to school, I went to college, but that's it. The rest of the time, my business filled the rest of my life. And it wasn't until 2 years ago that I decided to pursue acting, which is my childhood dream. But I do wish I had taken the time earlier to do that sooner. I wish I learned new languages and new skills like metalsmithing or painting or singing or gardening, because I didn't have those things. I didn't have an escape from my business, and it was so much easier to get to that point of burnout. In retrospect, this is really all about self-care and setting boundaries between yourself and your business. When you work from home and your income is directly tied to your effort and your initiative, it's really hard to do that, right? Especially if you're like me and you were raised to take care of everything else first before you take care of yourself. Self-care isn't something that comes naturally to me. So when starting a new business, this is definitely a priority. Number 5, I would put my customer first and have a vision from the very beginning. This is going to actually make you spend more time planning out your business and your product before you actually get to put it out there into the world. And usually my advice is to say, get your products out there as soon as possible. But this is a really good reason to slow things down, because this can mean taking 8 years to become successful versus 1 month. Here's what I mean. With Tiny Hands, I sell scented food jewelry because I just loved making miniature food out of polymer clay. That was my passion. I knew nothing about how business works, and I didn't consider at all for a second what people were interested in buying. I didn't even ask if there was a market for what I was making. So for this reason, it took me a long time to really get momentum with this business. As of 2020, I've been running Tiny Hands for 14 years, and I didn't make my first 6-figure sales year until 8 years after I officially started. Or if you want to look at it after I fully focused on the business and did it full time, then it would be 4 years after I went full time. Now, I just started a new print-on-demand wall art business on Shopify, and my husband is actually helping me run it. And we're already making $20,000 in sales for January of 2020, which is always a slow season for sales across the board, by the way. And this is only our 2nd month into this new business. This business took off so quickly because we focused on the customer first. We basically did things in reverse as Tiny Hands, and it is really important that we make decisions about where we want our business to go now, so that you're not walking around in the dark just letting the wind take you wherever it goes. When you have a vision, whether or not that's what will end up happening, at least you'll have a direction to move in, and that also is what will get you to success much faster. If you enjoyed this video, stay on to watch this next video on the screen for more handmade business tips. If you like this, give this a thumbs up. Leave me a comment below. I would love to hear if you have similar stories or things that you would do differently in your business if you were starting all over again. Let me know, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my new videos. Thank you so much for watching.